I'd like to introduce you to certified legal nurse consultant, Robert Malaire. Robert, thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon. Now, Robert, I know you have a phenomenal success story, and we're going to get to that, but I want to get down to one of the most basic of questions. And that's something that you had said to me, and that you said that owning your business, your CLNC business, has been the most rewarding accomplishment in your nursing career. Why is that? And can you explain and expand on it for us?
I think just in simplicity, it's mine. I've worked a lot of different places. God has blessed me with, a lot of opportunities, a whole lot of experience, from coming out of the military, come back to civilian life and working from corrections to, being a regional director for a dialysis company. But working for someone else, even from a startup, a ground up project, and then implementing staff and hiring and that whole process, it's not the same as owning your own, it being your business and you taking ownership and just the pride it gives you of doing your own thing. The responsibility is greater, but the reward is so much greater as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I know you've had, as you suggested, some pretty significant positions in the past, so you don't say that lightly. When we first met, I'll always remember the day we first met. It was actually at a national legal conference. And I recall at the time you were relatively new in your CLNC business, and you eagerly shared that you were grossing $500,000 in a year. And then this year, I understand you're potentially going to exceed $1 million for your business. What do you attribute to your success?
Consistency. We every year, the one thing that I tell my wife, and we work closely in this together as far as her doing the business side and me doing the reviews, is that I want to stay consistent, but I also want to make sure that I stay a student. I never think that I know it all. I've continued to pursue new certifications, new knowledge, to open new doors for my business to grow. I think growth potential for a business is crucial, no matter what business you're in. I recently just got my board certification as a forensic nurse specialist. I am now completing my wound ostomy and continence nurse certification. It provides opportunities and doors. It provides me with more knowledge base to do a better job for the attorneys and the clients that I serve. But the biggest thing for growth has been just I stay active, I stay interactive with the attorneys that I know. I continue to market to some degree, but most importantly, I just try to improve me. And that's, and in the CLNC business, that is the most important asset that I have that I'm trying to sell to people, is what I bring to the table from a nursing standpoint. And I try to improve on that.
Yeah, so you're saying a few things that are so important here. First of all, one of my promises from day one has been to be a student for life, right? And obviously that's what you've become. Also, I find it fascinating that when you talk about growth, you did allude to the fact that it's personal growth, not just business growth, because I always say that when you own a company, you don't just grow the company, you have to grow yourself. And I think that's actually one of the more exciting aspects of owning a company, right? To be able to,
Absolutely,
to grow yourself personally. And so I also know that while you are financially successful, you don't consider that to be your greatest success. So how would you define success for yourself?
money's a necessary evil. It comes with success, and that's a great thing. But honestly, I just want to be happy. I enjoy my time with my family. I enjoy being able to participate in my 15-year-old son's activities, sports, to be able to go on vacation with them, to just take a breath and relax. I'm not working a 12-hour shift for somebody else, coming home exhausted, and then dealing with the stress of all of that. I am able to focus on my job, but more importantly, I'm able to focus on my family. And that to me is more of a reward than anything else that I could ever do.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to hear when you talk about that, because I do think that's one of the big assets of owning your own business, right? That flexibility,
Absolutely.
control over your life. And as you're suggesting, when you own it for yourself, there's also something about the hard work that you do. You know, it's going toward you and your family and the goals that you have together.
Absolutely.
Now, you've shared that, you know, you've been an independent consultant, you've worked for other people inside the healthcare setting in some pretty significant positions. What's the
Right.
difference between being an independent consultant and working inside of the healthcare facility? Maybe for somebody who's interested in becoming a legal nurse consultant, what do they have to understand about the differences?
The biggest difference is you are your own boss. You don't have somebody else that tells you what to do. You don't have somebody else that you're responsible to, that if you don't get to work on time, that there is a penalty. You have to be self-driven. You have to be self-motivated. You have to be willing to go that extra mile, because it's your business at the end of the day. It's not someone else's. In every role that I've ever been in, as far as working for another company in the healthcare setting, in a clinical setting, I've tried to implement that or try to look at it from, I'm going to take ownership in this, but it's never the same as actually having your own business. There is a certain degree of responsibility, a certain degree of ownership that comes with owning your own business. There's more pride, there's more personal attainment, and the gratification just by the successes that you get. There's going to be times where you get a no. You take those a little bit harder than if you get a no working for somebody else, because it's
Right.
your dime, not theirs.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, it is just about the success that you get. You've built this, and it's all about that. And I love that about this business. I've never owned a business before, and to do this and to see the success that we've built over time, it is a personal gratification I've never encountered on a business level before.
And as you said, because you've been responsible, and the word I love is accountability, right? Because I find that the people who are most successful when they own a business are people who are fully accountable, right? They
Right.
get that the buck stops there. They can't
Right.
blame any failure on anybody but themselves. All right, I know you are a fan of Garth Brooks, and there's a favorite quote that you have of his, and I'm going to read this quote. And I want you to tell me what this means to you in your legal nurse consulting business. So Garth said, "A dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and the dreamer's just a vessel that must follow where it goes." What does that mean to you?
Everything. And I'm just gonna, I don't mean to be sappy, but I mean, I came from very humble beginnings. I grew up a very poor country boy living on a farm in Texas. My parents literally had nothing with us growing up. My parents finally put themselves through school. They're doing well now. Well, my mom has passed, but if at 16 years of age, if I would have known where this river of life would have taken me, I would be astonished. I had no idea where this was going. I went into the military in high school between my junior and senior year, just trying to find my way. I had some early kind of knockdowns with a dad that kind of wasn't involved until my stepdad adopted me. And then I mean, I let just life kind of take me. And when I look back now at 44 years old, to see where God is, and that's what I give all the credit to, where God has taken me on this life adventure, and the places and the companies that I've worked for, they've literally led me to right here where I am today. And if I had tried to guide my ship where I wanted it to go, I wouldn't be here. And I don't really know where that would have been, but I couldn't have asked for a better place for the river of life just to take me. There's been some rapids, there's been some hard knocks, but they've made me a better person. They've made me who I am today. And the river is not always the easiest place to go, but I mean, it provides everything you need. And it's gotten me where I'm going. And I continue to look forward to where it takes me in the future.
Yeah. And it's great that you're not bitter about those tough upbringings, because sometimes they prepare you for the successes that you create later in life.
I've learned through life experiences that if you don't have some things that knock you down and force you to get back up, you don't have anything that's tested your maturity or your willingness to get up and go. And those people that have been tested, I'm more gravitated to those kind of people just in life in general.
Yeah. Plus, if it hasn't been handed to you, it's all the sweeter, right?
It's a little sweeter when you have to work for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, again, you jumped into the river of legal nurse consulting, but how did you choose that? I mean, you could have chosen other places to go.
Well, that story depends on who you ask. If you ask me, it was a great decision. I knew it was going to work from the very beginning. There was never any doubt. If you ask my wife, I was an absolute idiot that just tried to do something and it worked. So I was working as the executive director for Brightwater Senior Living at the time in Victoria, Texas. I just was finishing up my master's degree through Walden University. My wife and I just got married 6 months prior in December of 2014. All of a sudden, we're moving in the process of going to be moving from Texas to Oregon. I'd posted on LinkedIn that I was going to be moving, and out of the blue, an attorney contacts me and says, "Hey, would you consider getting certified and reviewing cases for our law firm?" And I'm like, I just thought it was just total, like a scam, just stuff that they send you all the time that you get on email and stuff. Then he called me, and then we had a conversation, and I was kind of blown away. We came up to Oregon to visit my wife's family. I went and met with the attorney, found out he was highly legitimate, a very successful attorney. And when I left his office, I was gung ho. I was all in. I had plans to move to Oregon, work for this assisted living company. That was where my life was headed. And then, as it does, the river took a turn. So I found the CLNC certification program, and I found out that they were certified and accredited through the ANCC, the mentoring opportunities, the different levels of the program. But more importantly, once you're done with the program, the CLNC program provided an opportunity for me to have mentoring and assistance after I was done. A lot of the programs, once I was done, they were done with me. And you either flew and made it, or you fell out of the sky and had a hard thump. So I learned very quickly that this program provided something and was very different than other CLNC programs. So I signed up for the program, went through it, and I told my wife right upon the time that I was getting done with the certification, that I thought I was going to quit my job and start this business. And she thought I was nuts. We had, like I said, just got married, and we were making this transition. So I was going to be starting this business in a new state, a new place that I didn't have any contacts or know anyone. And about a week later, I went to her and I said, "I think maybe you should quit your job too, and we should do this together." And she didn't divorce me. And we moved up here in July of 2015, and we literally hit the ground running. I spent about 2 weeks getting the house together, and then I started marketing. I followed exactly what the program taught for marketing. I put my marketing packet together exactly like it was told in the program. I put together a marketing plan, implemented it with follow-up, and by about 4 weeks into my marketing, I got my first case. About 6 weeks in, I had my first 4 cases. By December of that first year, so about 5 months later, I was doing about $15,000 to $20,000 a month. And then by 2018, we made just under $900,000 that year. So we made just under $1 million. The next year, we exceeded $1 million. And we continue to grow. I have subcontractors that now work for me full time. I'm currently working and looking for new subcontractors. And it has just been an absolute privilege to do this. And the learning opportunities and the growth opportunities, they surprise me every time they come around. But I absolutely, I enjoy, and I just love what I do on a daily basis.
And that's so obvious. Your excitement always comes through. And I always appreciate when you send an email telling or sharing something about a success you've just had. That really shows the enthusiasm you have for your business. All right. So what would you say to a nurse listening who's afraid to dip their toe in the river?
I think change is scary no matter what it is. Before you became an RN, why did you make that jump? Why did you make that leap? No matter what choice you make in your life, there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be hurdles. But you can't it's kind of like the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. And I think life's very much the same way. Until you jump in and go all in, you'll never succeed. It's really easy to stay where you are because it's comfortable. But if you want to push yourself, if you want to strive for something more, you've got to take the chance. And quite honestly, I mean, when I go back and I look at where I was before I started this, I was nervous. I wasn't guaranteed anything. But the reality is this is a field that's needed. It is another specialty in the nursing field. It is no different than going and getting your certification to work at an ER. There is a learning curve. There's a level of education and understanding for the legal sense that you need, but it's no different than going to any other specialty, getting certified and being a specialist in that area. And the attorneys in the legal field need you. They need you to explain, what is the nursing process? What are standards of care? What is anatomy and physiology, and how does it apply to the case they do? They're the attorneys that I work for. The level of gratitude that I receive it's actually more important to me than the financial part of it. But it is just about getting out there and putting yourself out there, having that little bit of faith, and taking the jump.
Yeah, I always say, we're nurses. We can do anything. If you can work in the OR, the ED, the psych unit, you can talk to an attorney, you can analyze a medical chart.
Absolutely.
I love how you first reached out to attorneys with the jalapeno cheese bread deliveries.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
With all the marketing I've done in all the different positions, we've always tried to do something a little bit edgy, a little bit, memorable. It makes people remember who you are. So being in the Northwest, hot food is not real popular up here. People really don't know what jalapenos are. So my wife loved to bake bread. So I asked her if she would make some jalapeno cheese bread, and I would just try it as a marketing tool to go with my marketing packets. And the very first 2 weeks that we went, we'd go into the law firms, and I would give them the jalapeno cheese bread on a decorative plate we put our emblem and our phone number and this kind of verbiage. It said, if this plate's empty and you want it refilled, call Malaria Legal Nurse Consulting. It had our contact information. So whether the plate was full or empty, they had our information on it. But I would walk back into these firms after taking the bread, and they'd be like, hey, you're the bread guy. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm the bread guy. Man, you can call me whatever you want. Just give me business. And I was like, it worked. To this day, I have attorneys that I still work for that I started with in 2015. And when they call to give me a case, the paralegal that calls, one specifically in Portland, she will call literally and say, I have a case. I'm not sending you the records. Come here and bring me some bread.
And bring some bread. That's
absolutely. Great. And we continue to do it to this day. It is when we go to different exhibiting, we take jalapeno cheese bread and put it on our booth now. It has become kind of a staple of our business, and people recognize us for the bread. Is kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah.
But it works.
Fun is brilliant, right?
Yes.
People like fun. Lawyers can be a lot of fun. Okay, so I heard something in there that you don't just nurture and care for your attorney clients, you also kind of nurture the relationships with their staff, because you mentioned the paralegals are like, bring the bread when you come in to get the case. And I think that's brilliant also. So can you talk a little bit about how beyond the jalapeno cheese bread deliveries, you nurture your attorney clients and their staff that supports them?
One of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in this business was in the very beginning. When I started my marketing campaign, I had never even considered marketing to paralegals. I was focused on the attorneys. They were my key focus. I put together my marketing packets, specified them toward the attorneys. And about the third law firm that I walked into, there was a very outspoken paralegal in that law firm. And when I told her that I was bringing some stuff in for marketing stuff for the attorneys, she quite bluntly said, and what about the paralegals? And I kind of took a step back, because I was like, I remember a time whenever we would be working in the hospital or in different settings, and the pharmaceutical reps would come in and they would bring things to the doctors. And as nurses, we'd be like, hey, where's our stuff? And we didn't get taken to dinner and all the other things. That's been limited today, but it kind of took me back there and made me kind of feel what that person was feeling. And I came home after that experience and I told Jerusha, we're going to double the amount of marketing because I want to include every paralegal in those law firms. For every attorney, I'm also going to market to every paralegal. It absolutely changed the game. I didn't realize at the time how much influence paralegals had on the attorney's decisions for what experts they're going to find, their role in that at all. And some of the best relationships that I have today in law firms are not so much with the attorneys. I rarely see them unless we're going to court.
Sure.
It's with the paralegals. And what that has done for our business and for the networking opportunities, because those paralegals talk to each other probably more than attorneys do. They go have their own conferences that we've started going and exhibiting at their conferences, but just finding opportunities and understanding how the inner workings, like in a hospital, they need to understand how we work. When we go to market to that field, we need to understand how they work and how that hierarchy works and who are the players in there. But there's office staff, the office managers. I try to befriend the office managers now, the paralegals, and the attorneys. But one of the most important things I learned, and when I put together my marketing Excel worksheet, which I have, there's one last section that I put on the Excel worksheet. It's called comments. And it's not just to take little notes, but when I go into a law firm and I get to go into an attorney's office or I see a paralegal's cubicle or office, I pay attention to what's in there. And if they collect Beanie Babies or they're a sports fanatic or they have families, when I get a case for them or I'm going to remarket to them or if they reached out to me, I will send them a thank you. And I've sent Beanie Babies. But it also tells those individuals that I cared enough to pay attention to the details. And it speaks very highly of what you can do as a nurse. And it's those little things that add that connection. And a personal connection is more valuable in this business than any other connection you can have. And to make them a friend and to tell them, hey, you know what, you mattered enough for me to pay attention. I recognize this was important to you. I have made more lifelong contacts that way than any other marketing ploy that I've implemented.
So again, I really love hearing that, of course, this is a professional relationship, but you also count these attorneys and their staff as friends. And that makes the business even more satisfying, doesn't it? To know that you enjoy these kind of relationships.
Absolutely.
So you've talked throughout about so many kind of benefits of owning your own business, but if you could just like recap, how would you say your CLNC business has changed your life?
Daylight and dark. I've said this before on every webinar that I've been given the opportunity and the privilege to be a part of. And I do not say this lightly. I say this wholeheartedly. Becoming a CLNC through the program has absolutely changed my life for the better in every single way possible. The absolute only regret I have about this entire process was I wish I would have done it 10 years earlier. I mean, just to be honest.
Sure.
The financial opportunities it has provided, that's gone without saying. You're going to make more money because it's just your business if you do it the right way. But more importantly than that, the freedom it has given me to be with my family, the travel opportunities, the respect and the input that I get and feedback I get from the attorneys and the appreciation for what I do. I've never experienced that in all the 20 years of nursing experience that I have as an RN. I absolutely love what I do. I look forward to waking up every morning to do this. And when you find that golden nugget in a case where you make the difference in proving that whether you're working for plaintiff or defense, when you find that and you present that to the attorney and the client, whether they've been injured or they've been accused of something they didn't do, because I work on a lot of criminal defense cases, seeing that response that you get from them, it's like a Superman moment. And you want to put on the cape and fly around because with your little CLNC on the back and be like, hey man, we did this. and it's an experience. It's a feeling I've never felt. And being able to do that for people on this level, it has absolutely changed my life. financially, just emotionally, socially, but more importantly, man, it's just, I mean, I am happy. I enjoy what I do. My family is number one to me, and I'm able to enjoy that aspect of life as well while still doing this and enjoying every minute of it.
Congratulations on all of your success. I look forward to hearing more because I know there will be more to come. And thank you, Robert, for all the contribution you make to the Certified Live Nurse Consultants, especially as a mentor of the Institute. Thank you so
Well,
much.
in response to that, let me just close my part by saying thank you. And I don't know that you get the thank you that you should get sometimes as well, but a lot of us wouldn't be here if you hadn't taken that first step and gone on your own river. And I'm thank you for starting it because you allowed me to take my own trip as well.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you so much.